Hi guys, this is Mike and this will be mini review number 11 in my series of mini reviews of Western guitars with mahogany tops, right? And after I'm done with all of these guitars that you should see in the bottom now, I'm going to do a couple of comparison videos depending on the body sizes and the brands. And the last video in this series will be a huge shootout with all guitars included, with a lot of sound comparison samples, with, my final opinion on these guitars after almost 2 months of playing them, what I liked, what I didn't like, which one I kept, or maybe I kept 2 or 3 or 5 or all of them. And yeah, if you want to see that, definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell, right? And today we're actually talking about this guitar here, the Martin 00015E, right? So is it 000 or is it 00015E? I don't know. You tell me, leave a comment down below. But yeah, this is the guitar. As you can see, it's a really nice instrument just on the surface of things. And before we talk about the technical specs, let's actually talk about the elephant in the room, I would say, because online there's a lot of discussion, a lot of heated discussion, if I might say so, about if this guitar actually is a Martin 15, right? Because it's not made in the USA. It doesn't use the traditional solid mahogany tone woods that we had on the Martin M15, right? And basically, it's not the same thing, right? It's also considerably heavier than the 15M, right? But you know what? Today, I'm not going to go into that discussion. I'm not going to compare this guitar to the higher priced made in the USA guitars from Martin. Basically, what I will do, I will take this at face value. I will, review it for what it is, right? And that's it, right? And that discussion and my opinion on this versus the American-made Martins is for another video, basically, okay? So, yeah, let's check out this guitar. So we have a top that is made out of solid mahogany. We have back and sides that are solid sapelli. We have a neck that is made out of selected hardwood, right? So they don't tell you which wood they used on this neck. Basically, they used what is available at the moment. And the fretboard is made out of catalogs, right? We do have 20 frets. We do have a white tusk nut, so no bone nut, but a white tusk nut. And we actually do have a preamp, the Martin E1, I think it's called, with a tone control. So not a 2-band EQ, right, but one tone control, which you can set to basically slightly change the sound of the guitar or the preamp. And yeah, we also have a tuner. And let's actually speak about all of that. As you can see, can you see? I don't know if you can see. We have all of that stuff in there, right? So basically, to engage the tuner, you have to put your fingers into the sound hole and press it, and now it's engaged. How can I show you that? The tuner display is here. Can you see the green LED? So that's the tuner. Can you see that? Actually, yeah, now you can, right? So I guess the idea is to not have like electric pieces of equipment somewhere on the guitar here, right? But everything is hidden in the sound hole. So basically the tuner, it's perfectly practical when you're on a dark stage, I guess. You can actually see it pretty nice. You just have to look into your sound hole. The thing with the volume and the tone is a little bit awkward because if you want to set that up, again, on a dark stage, then basically you have to guess, what to do here. And yeah, I don't know if that's the perfect solution, but it is what it is. And it's one way to do it, basically, to hide that you have a preamp, right? Let me turn off the tuner if I can. Yeah, so I guess if you do it a couple of times, it won't be that bad. We have 2 buttons here, right? One is for the tuner, the other one is for phase, if you have phasing issues, right? And then we have 2 pots, basically. The volume, I think the first is, and the tone, right? So it's not that bad, actually. You definitely get used to that, right? I forgot to mention that this guitar does come with a premium gig bag, right? I won't show you that. It's your standard premium gig bag. It's nice and sturdy. It's high quality, so that's very nice. Let's actually talk about the build quality on this guitar. And I looked long and hard, as I do on all guitars that I test, and basically except for this part here, which is the neck joint, and you can see basically that we have 2 pieces of wood glued together here, right? Except for that, now you can see it properly, right? We don't have a joint on the headstock, so I appreciate that. You know, except for that, actually it's a beautifully made guitar, right? Even though it's made in Mexico, but still a beautifully made guitar. We have a satin finish here, right? Not porous, really nice and even. And yeah, the playability out of the box was good as well, except that for some reason they decided to change the neck shape in comparison to the 15M. Okay, so now I'm again falling into the same trap. Basically, I'm talking about the higher priced USA model, right? What I want to say is that this neck is actually on the thicker side, right? That's all I'm trying to say here. And for that reason, it takes a time to adjust to that, right? It's definitely not the thinnest neck. It's not as thin as other guitars. Let's just leave it at that. And yeah, all in all, still, I really like it. And, you know, it is a budget guitar from Martin, right? It's made in Mexico. But, you know, playability is really nice. Factory setup was nice. And so, yeah, I suggest let me mic up this guitar properly and let's take a listen. Here we go. Oh man, I have no idea why they decided to change the neck shape. It's considerably thicker than on the 15M, and I realize I'm already comparing these guitars, but it is what it is, right? You know, for a budgeted Martin, this is not bad. I don't think the sound is too bad, but then I know the sound, and I think we have a couple of guitars in this series that sounds very much like this one. Very similar tone woods also. So yeah, it will be interesting to find out how this guitar compares against, well, let's say cheaper instruments. And yeah, guys, if you want to see that, definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell. But that's it for today. Yeah, have a good one. See you next time. Bye. With two eyes.